DC. Many of you are probably mixed on it, some of you probably love it, and some of you probably absolutely hate it. To that, I say we probably won't change any opinions. So let's get over it. So we've released a couple films. Justice League Flashpoint, Flash the Speedster Trials, Cyborg Evolution, and released a couple shorts here and there too, from the Lucifer short to the Shazam short to the Justice League Halloween special. With that being said, we are working on more stuff. We'll get to that at the end of the panel. But for right now, our next project will be Cyborg 2.0 New Titans Update, which will release hopefully this summer. Here is a first look at the film with the poster. The plot of the film goes as following. Cyborg, after the events of Evolution, is ready to start a new generation of Titans. Forcefully, kind of, but still. A team he was part of when he was a younger superhero starting out. But, with having to train this new generation, do you think it's just hard enough? But when a new villain somehow takes down the Justice League, it's up to Cyborg to not only train this new generation to be the best version of themselves, but to hopefully win the day and stop the end of the world. Many don't know this, but the Teen Titans, specifically the 2003 cartoon and 2013 Teen Titans Go, were my introduction to DC. For the longest time, it was just the Batman, Superman universe. That's really it. And to know there was this bigger world full of bigger heroes, it's kind of thanks to the Titans. I learned more about other heroes. I learned that Robin didn't just have to stick by Batman. He was his own hero capable of doing awesome things. And characters like Starfire, who, had this hopeful side to them that was always a nice joy to see. Raven, who had this dark but kind of saddening story, but came out of it with hope. And obviously my two standout characters that I absolutely love the most, Cyborg and Beast Boy. Cyborg, this machine, this character that only really has been seen in the Teen Titans, but has also transitioned to be a part of the Justice League. And Beast Boy, someone who, you don't see it, but he has one of the most tragic backstories in all of DC. He's definitely up there with the most tragic, that's for sure. In a universe full of tragedy. And growing up more and more with this world, you gotta get to learn there's much more Titans, there's more of these heroes with other quirks to them. So the fact that I'm kind of working with these characters and putting my own spin on it is kind of like a full circle moment for me in DC. So I am kind of hyped to bring these characters to you guys, with my own interpretation, of course. That being said, it will be kind of a tough challenge to bring these characters properly, but I think we'll manage through. So keep an eye out for this next chapter in my most anticipated DC chapter yet. Books. What are they? Well, to many people, they're just words on paper in a weird shape. To others, it's a way to look into other worlds by a text. And for us, it's a way to expand the story without having to animate. And, further go into more details. Which is why I'm excited to announce we are working on our first novel. One based on the origins of the Flash. What once was a graphic novel that was turned into a prequel, that was going to be a prequel movie that was going to be set before another movie, has turned into a graphic novel that will detail the origins of the Flash. Now the big question is, how is this going to work? Well, you might dread it, but we're going to release this on Wattpad. Wattpad may have led to a lot of bad movies that are just fan fictions, but this one will maybe be different. I mean, it's too far to judge. We're not going to be petty jerks and say our stuff is better than everyone else's stuff. No. So, be ready for the horizon whenever it's finished writing, and it will be available as soon as that happens. I'd like to tell you what the story is about, but I feel like it's nice to know what story you're getting into once you start reading. Just know it's Flash, his origin, and him fighting off a lot of his foes that aren't speedsters, per se. Let's take a break from what I'm doing and move on to what someone else is doing. Well, we have two people working on separate DC projects, one in our universe, the other one in Elseworld's story. So, as many of you know, Forever Evil is kind of an in limbo project. I'm not going to update you guys like I said in the Q&A, but Cassie is working on something. She is working on a duology of sorts to continue that Forever Evil story. So, what are those projects? Well, she's working on, hopefully, the movie's breakout character, John Constantine's story, with Justice League Dark and its sequel, Justice League Dark, The Ballad of John Constantine. Now, I can't say any more, but just know she is working on it, and it's going to be a pleasant surprise and will set up a very tragic end. I will say that. Oh, and one last thing. These films will be rated R. So, yeah. Not gory, just very dark.
This city, it's all crashing down.
I've seen the sky turn red.
Whoever is behind this, they want to burn the Wayne legacy to the ground.
Burn it all again.
Yep. This is going to be our first not only Elseworlds project, but our first 3D Blender project. Thanks to the very so talented SMPL. Please correct me if I said that wrong, please. Now, production on the film is a little bit quiet because this is not my project, and this is frankly a project where very less wanting to change anything about it. But what you should know, it is based on the ever so popular Batman Hush comic. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. However, though, he is working on a prequel spinoff. Nightwing Year 1. Now, there's scarce information to know about this one, but it is supposed to come out next year. And I will link down SMPL's server so you can go audition for either Batman Hush or Nightwing Year 1. You didn't think Justice League Dark was going to be the only R-rated project, did you? Well, this one isn't that, but it is TVMA, so it's basically the same thing. It may be a very popular thing to make villain stories, but whenever you see one, you clearly only see villains who are broken. Villains who are turned from maniacal evil monsters into sympathetic anti-heroes. Well, let's fix that, shall we? Reverse Flash is a new take on the character that will somehow lead him to becoming the most notorious hater of all time. I hated that I said that, but it's what it is. The project was originally going to be a movie, but it fell through and became a TV show instead. And while there's very slow progress right now, it is turning into a better progress real quick. So, with that being said, what is it going to be about? Well, Reverse Flash starting out how he became the Reverse Flash. I can't say much because I don't want to spoil it. Just know that path will leave lots of broken hearts, broken ribs, and lots of wounds. Bloody ones. Don't worry, it's not over-excessive with the violence. It's still a Lego animation. And I will say the cussing, I know I've been having a problem with that with a lot of projects lately, will be mild. There won't be that many swear words that are very harsh in the show because I want to have their impact be more meaningful. So that being said, be on the lookout for Reverse Flash. Coming extremely real quick soon, hopefully. And I promise it won't be a musical halfway through that doesn't make sense. Society. Alright, I think we've moved on from our R-rated talk, and let's get back to our regular talk of a little bit more kid-friendly projects. Hold on.
I'm over 6,000 years old. Why are you talking?
We're gonna need more money.
Oh, you're in there for like 5 minutes.
You're very busy. Ooh, I'm a chicken. What the hell?
Achoo! Sorry about that. Didn't mean to sneeze. What was I gonna talk about? Oh, right. Shazam. Yep. Shazam is getting a movie before Batman gets a sequel, and Superman and Wonder Woman get their own movies. Don't worry, they're gonna be getting something better than just movies. So, while I did show clips from the two real-life Shazam movies, this film can be seen as its own thing. There's going to be callbacks to those movies, but it's going to stand on its own 2 feet. Why? Because it's going to be its own unique Shazam story. Something I'm not even sure has been touched in the comics. Since his introduction all the way back, Shazam has always been portrayed as a kid. Here and there's been different iterations, but those are always like Elseworld stories, nothing ever remained canon. What happens when we show a story where not only Shazam grows up, but he has to deal with that idea of having to be two people? In a lot of ways, it's a kind of commentary on like people who start off really successful when they're young, kind of becoming a mess when they're older. Now, I think this film will definitely surprise a lot of you because, as the title says, it's a battle of the champions. So who is it battling? Well, unlike the movies, this is going to be a battle between Shazam and Black Adam. No Superman involvement. I know, crazy, right? So, will the hierarchy of the DCU, not the DCU, the LYCU change? No, probably not. Well, this film also isn't just being a fun film. It's supposed to be the calm before the storm. So, do with that information as you will. In the meantime, you should just expect a fun adventure with Shazam and his family in the Justice Society and a fight against Black Adam. So, yeah. Carry on, Captain Sparklefingers, or Captain Everyman Jr.'s fans all around the globe the two fans that are probably watching this video. But just know, we're making a fun Shazam film. That will be the last fun film of the DC universe. So, like that being said, Shazam Battle of the Champions will come soon to YouTube, probably 2027. I guess we're nearly there. Just one huge announcement. The LYCU DC side is almost done. Yes, you can believe it or not, we're almost done. We have found the story we want to end on, but to get that story, we just need one major thing, a first part. So, get ready for justice. Well, this is what we're going to close on. A Justice League two-parter event. One about the gods and one about the new gods. And how the Justice League will have to combat both. Now, right now the films are still being written, and just like all the other projects, there's very little I want to reveal about them. But the reason is because these are our biggest films yet. These are our endgame. This will be our concluding film. But before we say that, you probably are wondering, what about Flash 3, since that film was confirmed earlier this year? Well, Flash 3, just as a hint, we're not going to talk about it for a while, but it is a very different DC style film. Different to what we're usually making. But that'll be much later, because if I tell you more about that, I will spoil these films. So be on the lookout for the fall of the Justice League. Or the rise of them, as they combat not only the Greek gods, but they will have to find a way to defend the entire universe from Darkseid's evil wrath. Yes, Darkseid is going to be our big bad. Be on the lookout. But just so you don't leave empty-handed, here's what you need to know. The first part will be a Wonder Woman story. The second part will be a Superman story. And yes, the Wonder Woman will be our first female-led protagonist of the LYCU, so that's actually something I'm looking forward to. So, yeah, Justice League, The War for Olympus will come out 2026, and the Justice League Apocalypse War will come out in fall 2027. So with that, our big DC announcements have been made. I hope you enjoyed this panel, and yeah, be looking forward to the end of DC. I bet you it'll be super fun for all of you. Well, on to the next panel.